Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, well, let's move on to our next NBA exit interview. We'll do the Rockets. So the Rockets were 52-30 this year. They were the number 2 seed, and they were eliminated in the first round by the Warriors. Is that correct? I think so. Um,
Yep.
what did you grade their season?
I gave it an A minus. Like
That's what I did too,
I
yeah.
know, I know it sucks looking at two seed losing in the first round, but they had an awesome year.
Yep.
They had an obvious distinct weakness, but they played through it. Could have won that. Yeah, it's not like the Warriors just boat raced them out of the playoffs. But from what you expected of the Rockets, to see the defense, to see them for the most part play through some of that, their offensive weakness. I don't know how you can be down on the result losing in the first round, but I think that's a product of being in the West and playing the wrong team,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like what a disappointing season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I thought, man, you expected them to grow. I think them being the number 2 seed, youth athleticism showed nobody wanted to play against them. I think like if you look at some of the pros this year, Amin Thompson really, he looks like a building block. His defense, his playmaking ability, the way he can get to the rim, that's something I think the Rockets can really hang their hat on and look forward to going forward to next year. I think their youth, their defense, Eason really coming around. All those things I think are so positive for the Rockets moving forward into next season, and that's why you can kind of talk yourselves into them making a bigger move.
Yeah, and they have guys behind them that maybe like Reed Shepard barely got off the bench this year, and he was a high pick last year with some upside. So they have the we'll call it theoretical depth, and maybe that's good because it doesn't have warts all over it. As far
Right,
as if you're
correct.
going to make a move, other teams can't be like, "Oh, Reed Shepard, he showed nothing," and you're like, "Well, there's a lot that could be there, could not be there." So to see the growth of those players, to see the I'll call it the togetherness because it's got to be hard for some of those young guys, Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepard, even Jabari Smith to a reason, like maybe not get the minutes or the shots that you think, but
Yeah.
they weren't complainers. So overall, a lot of positives out of Houston.
Yeah, I agree. Now, as far as like the cons of the season, it would have to be like you wish that Smith and Green would have took a leap, like just a little bit of a leap offensively. Green, especially in the playoffs, not good, right? He didn't he had 1 or 2 moments, but not really that good. On the season, he shot 42% from the field and 35% from three. You kind of hope those efficiency numbers would be higher. And the same with Smith, he was 43 and 35. So I guess if you're gonna look at a con is the guys that you really wish would have took a leap, they didn't take a leap. It was kind of the other guys that you didn't almost expect, like Amin. Amin would get better, but like he was the guy that took a leap. And I think I was more impressed with Eason's season than Jabari Smith's or Green. So I just think if you're gonna be like, oh man, and that's why I think like maybe a trade would be good for those two guys to go somewhere else and maybe get some, you know, more time to grow.
I I think a downside is like offensive creativity
Yeah,
is
that's a good one.
a big
Yeah.
thunder for the Rockets. Like it's just I know they're limited in that regard because Fred Van Vliet does a lot of good things, but again, smaller guy, he has limitations. But you had those stretches where Ahmed Thompson looked amazing, and then it kind of like went away from him. Kari Easton looks great, and then it kind of moves away from him. Jabari Smith can never seem to like find even just like a spot up shooter type consistency role. So I think the downside is you saw the positive growth, but it's kind of not totally cohesive offensively and you see it come and go through spots, and you'd like to see, and maybe that's why a trade should or will happen to put people in more defined roles so
Right.
that they can know what to expect and then grow from that role.
Agreed. Agreed. Yep, I agree with that. Okay. Anything else on this past season for the Rockets? Okay, so let's look at their off-season outlook. I forgot to mention this for when we did the Grizzlies, but that's okay. So free agents. So they did sign Steven Adams recently, so he's no longer a free agent. They have a couple of team options and player options, but I think like the big team option is Fred VanVleet, and then Holiday is another team option they have. They have 5 tradable first round picks. They do have the 10th pick this season as well, and they also have that pick from the Suns in 2027. So what do you think? What do you see for their off season? What would you like to see them do? Where do you think they go from here?
So I mean, the Sun, the I keep doing it. The Rockets are one of those like obvious, like okay, we have an obvious need here for like a number one offensively or a guy who can kind of either close or keep the ball moving. Um, which is why I think they're looking into like KD and guys like that. It's just they need creation, and I hope that um, if you're going to go for KD, I definitely don't want to give up too much to do it because of obviously age, and I'm not a whole like, oh, it's not on the right timeline because again, a flag flies forever regardless of the timeline. So they need to be creative in figuring out a way to either get that now or if the price is too high, run it back into the season and then tackle it when you get more data, whether that's turning it over to Ahmed Thompson more and giving that a shot. Because I would hate to overpay and kind of take too much off the edges for an old guy that is an ankle sprain away from not playing for 6
Yeah, I don't know if it would take. Obviously, it'd take a little bit, but I don't think it'd take a whole lot. The problem is, I think with the Sun, and we can maybe talk about like with Durant, is if Jalen Green's part of that trade, Green, Beal, and Booker, like they're basically all the same player. Like, are you kidding me? Like they all play the same way. Just Booker's way more efficient than the other two. So I don't know. I think you're right. It's like, do you want to just see because you also didn't tap into Reed Shepherd yet, right? Whitmore, what is he? But also like what we talked about, just a moment ago is like there's so many young guys on this team and there's just not enough time. There's so many players but only a limited amount of roles. So even if you end up trading like Smith and Green for someone like a Durant, you still have a bunch of young talent, which is awesome. But do you want to kind of like wait and hope that the price for Durant goes down if it's too high, or can you be like, okay, well we have an excessive amount of goods that we can maybe like just overspend maybe a buck 25 on a dollar type thing. So that's sort of what they got to think about what they want to do. And like you said, with Durant's age, I think he'll always be able to shoot a basketball and get his own shot. But it is something you have to think about because, like you said, he's an ankle injury away from.
Yeah, and I feel like if I was the Rockets, I would. For me, it would be like I have the Suns picks. I want Devin Booker, and they don't want to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hate to bail that out for something else. Or the Rockets feel like the perfect team of I don't want to make my big move too early because they seem ripe with their young players, with the picks that they have. That if Giannis wants to go, if Jaren Jackson, if Devin Booker, like some of these other guys, if they become available, now you have it. And if you give up a little too much now for Kevin Durant, I don't know that makes a ton of difference, especially when it comes to like creation off ball. What are you doing to Ahmed Thompson in that role? Like, you still need something better than Fred VanVleet as a guard. Like, you watch the Thunder. Like, you need someone to bring the ball up. KD's too old to bring the ball up all the time. So that would be my fear with the Thunder. Is, gosh, if you do with the Rockets, is if you do that, like, they're like the perfect team that's sitting in the waiting for the next big thing, and I don't want to move too soon if I'm the Rockets.
Yeah, I don't like the Jaren Jackson Jr. fit with them. They could pay for him, but what you need is like a shot creator, and I just don't like when I think of Jaren Jackson Jr. That's not what I think of when I think of him. But like Booker is a good example, right? Like that would be instead of Durant, it would be Booker. Um, but the other problem you have is you can't also wait too long because otherwise maybe someone won't be available, or what people find out is maybe the assets you have aren't as good as what they think they are, and you also can hinder the progress of your young players. So there's kind of like it's such an interesting place the Rockets are in, and that's why it's so fascinating what they're going to do this offseason, I think. So, anything else on their offseason?
No.
Okay, long shot. What do you have for their long shot?
When I first did it, the long shot was like, hey, let's do everything and get Giannis. That seems to be
Don't you
off
take
the
my long
board.
shot. No, hold on. This is 5% chance it's happening. You go ahead and give your, you don't dismiss my long shot. You give your long shot. Give me your long shot. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
So,
kidding.
yeah, no, I just, my long shot was Giannis, and you make
Okay.
the move, and I think if you're going to do that, you piggyback moving Şengün out to get the extra pick so you don't have to devastate your roster. Because I don't think a Giannis Şengün uh, front court is overly compelling because both aren't off ball players. But that would have been my long shot is you move Şengün to Portland and send the Portland picks, which have the Bucks picks from the Dame trade, to the Bucks, and the Bucks end up with a couple of the young guys and their picks back.
Okay. Okay. So you like a three-team trader. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, I had Giannis as well. I put Şengün, Smith, Shepard, Whitmore, and the 10th pick this year, the Suns 2027, and a couple other first. That and you basically have a starting lineup where you have like Easton, Giannis, Amen, Brooks, and I had one more in there.
Van Fleet still.
Van Vliet. Yeah, I think like re-sign Van Vliet. I think that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, that's and that would still be a pretty heavy high end team if you're going to compete. So, and for the Bucks, the reason why you would do it is you'd get three guys who have a lot of potential. Şengün, who can kind of balance things out, so you're not going to be tanking, right? Because you don't have your picks, but you also have some picks that you can now rebuild the rest of your roster. If you can get Portland in it to get a first round pick, go for it. But other than that, that's the only thing that I had. Uh,
Fair enough.
Durant trade real quick. If they did a Durant trade, what would you say? Would it be too much to do like Smith, Green, and their pick? Is that too much? Like the 2027 Suns pick and the 10th pick this year, is that too much for Durant?
I would be hesitant to give up the 27 because that could be an awesome pick. And again, it's KD's like at that fine line, and I think the Suns are kind of reckoning with that right now. Like, he's still really good,
Uh-huh.
but it and he will age well because of his shooting. But what you want KD for to put you over the top, like those years are probably him carrying a team behind us,
Yeah.
and now it's like he's fitting into a team. And when I do the 10th pick this year and those two guys, I would, but I think the Suns would think that they can do better. I'm not sure that they can, but that 27 pick is you really have the Suns in a stranglehold by owning that pick.
Yeah, it just again, it goes back to like the NBA is so chaotic. That's more valuable to the Suns than it might be for the Rockets, right? So like if you can even somehow give up less by giving up that pick, because it could end up being like you have, like, let's say the Suns have a bad season and you're supposed to get the third pick overall, now it drops to 7. And it's like, well, that was worth keeping. Like it's still a good pick, but it's not as good as you thought it would be. Whereas you might have missed your chance to kind of wiggle in for a title run because you wanted to be a little bit greedy. So again, this is what's so fascinating about Houston is like there's just this line that they have to like balance, and it's going to be kind of cool to see how they navigate it and see how it turns out.
It's the what if that gets you.
Yeah, all the time, all the time. Oh. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.